Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Meera Gandhi Show. Every week we endeavor to talk about a topic that has some sense of improvement on our lives. Today's show is about climate change. While we are on this planet, we are its custodians, so to speak. And so the planet and climate must be something we are concerned with. Cause, action and effect at every moment in our lives is key. We will talk today with Brown University's alumni, Andres Chang, about the importance of climate on this planet and some real solutions to this growing problem. We will also speak to Ashok Vyas, an anchor at ITV Gold here in New York, about the importance of climate change and its effect on our psyche. Wikipedia defines climate change as an abnormal change in statistical distribution of weather patterns. On a personal level, the climate is important as the color, vibration and energy of the sun is necessary for life conditions to exist on Earth at the very basic level. As we think about this and explore this idea of climate change and the impact of the climate on us as humans, let us first start with our calming breaths as we've been doing in every show. First, let's take a deep breath in together. Are you ready? Deep breath in, release, and now let's chant Om 3 times. Ready? Aum. 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 Open your eyes, and as you start to feel your breath gets calmer, let's talk about climate change. Wiki continues saying that patterns of variation in temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind precipitation, atmospheric particle count, and other meteorological variables in a given region over long periods of time are climate. Climate is a very intrinsic part of living and breathing. Existing and the way it affects we live, the way we think and the way we move is more important than anyone ever imagined. Since this is the case, we clearly need to spend some time understanding its effect on us and the overall climate patterns that are rapidly emerging on this planet. Overheating, storms, cyclones, hurricanes and other natural disasters are striking us more and more frequently, and they are a direct result of disturbing the climate and planet conditions too harshly. So today, I'd like to share 3 tips on this show how to use climate to affect our health in a positive way. The first, understand the type of climate that suits you and try your best to expose yourself to that in your daily life or on a vacation. Some people need water, so rain. Some people need cold, some need heat, and so on. Second, take a walk in nature. Going to the gym is good, but the benefits of walking in nature and experiencing the climate on our skin and on our persona have deep benefits on a very cellular level. Third, the sun's rays have red light that help release serotonin that help lift our spirits. Soon we will be joined by Andres Chang from Brown University, who inspired me a few weeks ago with his talk on climate change at the Whitney Museum. Please welcome to the show, Andres Chang. Andres Chang, welcome to the Meera Gandhi Show. We're so pleased to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
So you recently did a very successful thesis on climate change. Can you talk to us about shifting baselines and the concept of what is natural in our current climate?
Sure. So the term shifting baselines is used to describe the loss of collective memory that occurs across generations. So what I consider natural. So this question of what is natural in the climate is a really difficult one to answer because clearly humans have been impacting the climate in incredible ways for quite a long time. So there's no point that we can go to and say, you know, before the Industrial Revolution, that environment was natural and now it's changed.
So this is a very obvious question, but climate change should be of concern to us.
Yes, climate change is of grave concern. Just because we can't necessarily pick out the human from the natural doesn't mean that we shouldn't be very thoughtful about how we interact with our environment.
Can you talk to us about slow violence? What does that mean?
Slow violence was actually a term introduced by an academic named Rob Nixon to describe ecological degradation and climate change. It doesn't feel that way to us.
No.
Climate change is also
because we're so removed from, you know.
We're so removed from it because its effects are spread out in space and time. So there are places on Earth right now where climate change is a huge issue. Arctic indigenous communities, for example, are having major changes to their way of life because of changes to sea ice. Certain island nations right now are already seeing the impact of rising sea levels. So slow violence, on one hand, refers to the spread in time of climate change, but also this spread in space.
So Andres, can you share with us your project, The Eternal Ocean?
The Eternal Ocean was an exhibition that I had on recently that was derived from a performance I did back in April. I built a large floating buoy with a small platform that would hover above the surface of the water.
Okay.
And as an endurance challenge, I would balance on this platform as it rocked in the wind and the waves on the ocean for as long as possible. So we actually launched this buoy out into the ocean, and I was standing up there. There were a few microphones attached to my body that were picking up the sound of my heartbeat, the sound of my breathing, as well as the sound of the environment, the ocean, and the air around me. And after this performance was complete, an exhibition was assembled from artifacts of this performance and a sound environment that was derived from all the audio that we recorded.
When you gave that talk at the Whitney Museum, do I recall you said that there were times at which your heartbeat and the beat of the ocean were like almost the same? They were like beating in a sort of synchronicity.
Yes. In the exhibition, a viewer will walk around and they're hearing the sound of the waves and the sound of the wind like I was hearing, but my body is missing. So the viewer ends up taking my place. And as the viewer approaches this enormous sea salt weathered buoy in the center of the room, you start to hear my heartbeat and my breathing emanating from the buoy. So this buoy represents some human construction. It is this tenuous membrane that is separating me from the earth beneath me. And I really wanted viewers to question why this separation exists. And I think that this confusion, people not knowing what that sound element came from, is really important to the piece.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add about climate change as a threat to our planet?
I think it's important to note that climate change is not only a threat to our planet, but a threat to all of us. And at times like this, it can feel like we're powerless, but that's not actually the case. There are a lot of small changes that each and every one of us can make that have an impact on our planet. Things like not using plastic, eating less meat, even if you're not ready to go vegetarian. Eating less meat is very important, and getting involved with activist groups around you. So I would say don't give in to despair if you're feeling that way right now, because there is a lot that we can do and there is a lot that is being done.
And I'm so glad that millennials and people of your generation are taking this seriously and shining the torchlight on this, because we have to act on this now before it's too late. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. Now we'll speak to Ashok Vyas, an anchor at ITV Gold, and we are here in the ITV Gold Studios in Long Island City. Ashokji, thank you for being on the Meera Gandhi show.
Such a pleasure. Namaste.
Namaste. As a civilian, do you feel nervous about impending climate change?
You know, I'll be very, very honest, as one should be while talking to Meera. It is something for which one needs to have that kind of a long-term understanding of unfolding of events, which would make you really concerned. And also, you start looking at where you can do something and you feel concerned or not concerned comes from there for me. So, am I concerned too much? No. But little bit, yes. And I do feel that we need to be sensitive towards our surroundings, and as we go along, I believe we'll remind ourselves that we have such a wonderful relationship with Mother Earth. Again, becomes a question related to how much politically aware you are, as well as are you considering yourself connected to the next generation and the next generation, which very few of us are actually.
We don't think about that.
We don't think about that, yeah.
Do you think that the climate is important to our psyche, to our psychological well-being?
Okay, so that it changes the paradigm slightly. When we are talking on a macro level, thinking about how world is behaving, etc., what politicians are deciding, it's a different thing. But what this question takes me is, it reminds me of how I start my day. You get up and you first look at your hand, there is a prayer that you say, and then you touch Mother Earth and you say, Samudra Vasane Devi, Parvatstanam Mandite, Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam, Padasparsham Kshamaswa Me. Just the outline of the translation means I seek forgiveness from Mother Earth that I am touching it by my feet, because she is the wife of Vishnu. Now Vishnu again is the name of the god, and Vishnu etymologically word means that which is all pervading. So what our scriptures tell us is earth is a living entity. It can regulate its temperature, Meera. Like our body is regulating its temperature. So if you are in certain ambience, then it will automatically, because it is a living entity. The same way Earth is also regulating.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So I heard it from sages. It comes from scriptures, and science also tells us the same thing. So Earth is regulating its temperature. It is a living entity. So if we become aware, if we become conscious of the life of Mother Earth, and practically we are sons and daughters of Mother Earth.
So my last question, and perhaps your most favorite topic, is spirituality. And I would like you to give our viewers some tools to awaken their own spirituality and awareness in their daily life. Like 1 or 2 things that we can do to be more aware in our daily lives.
You know, that's a very good question, and that calls for someone with more understanding. But the little bit understanding that I have, it is for me, and if it is relevant for others, is probably good. What can we do to be more aware about our spirituality? We need to be true to ourselves. If we are true to ourselves, then only we will accept where we are. The phrase from Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad comes, Satyameva Jayate. So truth is always victorious. If you apply this, in human life, truth is victorious, meaning if you are true to yourself, then you are victorious. Being victorious means being on the optimum level of your happiness. But we should also be aware of our mortality. So if you are happy, complete happy at this moment, then whether you or me, we are here next moment or not, we don't know. So we shouldn't hang our happiness for something to happen. Let us have it right now, and it is available. It is only we who are preventing it from unfolding and letting us celebrate who we are. So if we celebrate who we are on moment-to-moment basis at every step, which we are capable of, all of us are capable of that, and it is a matter of staying a little bit focused and little bit not getting distracted by so many attractions that lures us on day-to-day basis. And if we, it sounds very cliched, but if we look within, then we find everything is there.
Wonderful. Ashokji, I'm so thrilled you came on the show and you shared this wonderful insight. I know that many of us are going to benefit from this today and even in the time to come.
So allow me to thank you very much, and I really appreciate the opportunity that you have given me. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kesi Bailer, and today on the Meera Gandhi Show, in our trending section, we would like to share with you an amazing new bakery called Sugar Cube, located in the very hip Long Island City off Burnham Boulevard. We will now speak to the owner, Peter Zaharatos, architect and now pastry chef, as he marries both his passions in this new venture. Hi Peter, so can you give us a little tour of your shop?
Sure. So what you'll find here is that we are kind of like multifaceted. We're doing many different things. I think the fascinating thing about my store is that I'm combining a new technology, which is the 3D printing world and the 3D modeling world. Using my background in architecture and 3D printing, I was a model maker initially as a 20-something-year-old for architectural firms. I basically modeled my first bars similar to this and these over here to basically represent an architectural idea, like an architectural tile. Proportions very similar to a typical chocolate bar. 3D printed it in my store and made a silicone mold from that, and then basically poured tempered chocolate into it and made my first three-dimensional sculptural bars. You know, in architecture, everything's about proportion and ratio. In the pastry world, it's also all about proportion and ratio. Puzzle bars, tiles, murals that I've done professionally for architecture interiors also had this similar proportion, and that's what kind of triggered the crossover. And I put my 3D printer to use. I actually used it to design the interior of the store and test it before I actually built it.
So now we're here with Hilbin, tour designer at Sugar Cube. So can you tell us a little bit more about your role here?
Of course. My role at Sugar Cube is to design all the molds that we use for our chocolate bars. I can customize it however the clients want it.
That's awesome. Thank you. Now I get the pleasure of trying their raspberry panna cotta, which was cast from 3D printed molds. This tastes amazing. You guys, come here. like tomorrow.
With this, we are now at the end of our show. I hope you have enjoyed the collective ideas on my show today and has given you fresh ideas for enjoying the climate and a greater understanding of climate change and its effect on the planets and its intrinsic effects on each and every one of our health. Time is fleeting, life is health, and climate is so essential to health. So let's be aware and use climate in our lives and be aware of climate change on the planet so that we save the planet and use climate in the best way possible for the best impact on our lives and the lives of generations to come. With this, thank you for joining us. Om Shanti and Namaste.